Katie Trahan.
Here.
And Richard Black. Ed, good to have you back.
Thank you, Richard.
It's been a while. You looking good? As long as your razor and everything.
Don't breathe.
Good. Welcome back. We'll catch you up quick. Has everybody had a chance to approve or to review the previous minutes? Any issues?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? We all good?
Second.
All those for?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I've got staff and community reports.
The only thing I have is I have been submitted a site plan and preliminary plat for, if you guys remember, we rezoned property on 41 Eagman Road from C2 to R3, so he's proceeding with, trying to develop that. So I've received it. I've also forwarded the plans to the town engineer for any stormwater and utility concerns.
Did he give you any indication as to when he's going to get it to you, information?
Well, it's been submitted, so
Okay.
it's, right now, the timeline, assuming that he's able to get everything in my review and everything should be on the May agenda.
I got you, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything else, Sean?
That's all I have.
Okay. Old business, retail and commercial in C3 zoning amendment. And Jonathan, you want to explain that to us?
Yeah, so this is just putting back, we had discussed this last month. This is an amendment that was requested by the board member alderman of allowing retail and commercial in C3. And that been tabled last month, so it's back on the agenda. There's also later on a new business. We had at a workshop discussed about allowing a more narrow allowance, because I think this is really stemming from, certain uses that may be allowed, that are wanting to be here but can't be here based on the current zoning ordinance.
Any discussion, guys?
I have a thought about this. This all started with the desire to put a dollar store on a piece of property down here that's zone C3. And there are arguments in favor of allowing a dollar store to be where the owner wants to put it. But it seems to me that to amend the zoning ordinance as greatly as we would if we said all retail and commercial uses are now permitted in zone 3C, would completely eliminate the purpose of zone 3C, which is to allow for businesses which are focused on interstate travel and interstate travelers. For no particular reason that I know of, because we have an alternative if we want to allow a dollar store in the C3 zone, which is also before us, and that is to define what a dollar store is and say that it's allowed in zone 3C3. So I would favor rejecting the gross amendment of the zone to allow any retail establishment or commercial establishment, particularly since neither of those is a defined term in the zoning ordinance. And if we want to allow the have a dollar store in zone C3, just allow it with an appropriate definition.
But the dollar, for what you're talking about, is further down the line here.
Yes, in new business, we have a draft zoning ordinance amendment for small box discount stores in zone C3, which would accomplish the purpose that was brought before us and has required us to talk about this at every meeting for about the last 4. And I think that would be a better way to do it than to effectively eliminate the interstate zone C3.
This actually started back in fall of last year. The proposal was first brought to us and it was denied. Then there was a proposal for it to be determined to be a convenience store. And then it was proposal to move it from C3 to C2. And we're still talking about it. I agree with you, Alex. I think if you put that language in there as open as it is, it's meant to be in there for businesses that were not mentioned, like a tire place or a convenience store or a service station, something related to that met the qualifications in C3. And the C3 qualification is very clear. The district is to serve both the needs of the motoring public and commercial vehicles, as well as addressing the unique commercial opportunities and problems created by access to an interstate highway. So I agree with your assessment. Any other conversation, discussion?
I'm in agreement.
So, let me ask the basic question. Will C3 allow that type of business without this being approved?
We've said not.
You said not.
We have rejected an application to have it there.
Right. So how do we accommodate that landowner and/or business? Where do we put them? I'm just going step by step.
Well, convenience stores, well, I'm not sure because
If
I
I
don't have a
may,
definition for retail and commercial.
That's it.
An awful lot of retail and commercial establishments are permitted in C2 zone,
Right.
some, many in the C1 zone.
if I may, I think answering the mayor's question, let's say that the planning commission were to reject this. They do have an amendment further on in new business that I think would directly address the concerns of allowing dollar stores in C3, because it would allow small box discount stores in C3 versus allowing all retail and commercial in C3.
So farther down the agenda, it's for small box
Discounts, yes.
discounts.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Is small box considered less than 15,000?
Let's don't go there yet.
Okay.
Dan, I'm sorry.
no, I thought when we met on March 18th, we discussed the fact that we could, it wasn't going to be just a blanket retail, that it was going to be, it had some restrictions that would restrict what retail could be put into C3. Is that not correct?
That's what I understood.
If I understand it correctly from Jonathan, this was tabled, I believe, last time. And we're bringing back up the exact same thing from last month, which had nothing to do with our workshop. Is that correct?
Well, our workshop was discussing this amendment, and then I think it was brought up that perhaps having a more narrow amendment would be more appropriate if the concerns for the planning commission were that they didn't want to be too broad in allowing retail and commercial, which then you would be allowing retail and commercial to all commercial
Correct.
districts. And it opens up a potential, Pandora's box, if you may. So, but I think again, I said the situation with the mayor is asking if the planning commission rejected this, it doesn't mean that the dollar store wouldn't be allowed, because you could still address that later on the agenda.
Any other comments, discussion from the commissioners? Do I have a motion?
Motion to deny?
I second.
Second.
2 seconds. Any discussion? All those for the motion to deny?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Next we have is any properly presented old business. Jonathan says none. New business, the landing at Monteagle, final plat.
So the developer withdrew that plat prior to the meeting. So He's still got some issues with the utility, with the water that he has to work through and figure out.
Okay. The next business is small box discount stores zoning amendment.
So
That
this
is
is
included in your package.
So this is what was discussed with the, during the workshop, and I tried to make it kind of a broad descriptions that would still be, restrictive enough that it wouldn't apply to just any store. So the definition is a retail establishment with a usable floor area of less than 15,000 square feet that offers for sale a combination of shopping and consumer goods and continuously offers the majority of the items in its inventory for sale at discounted prices. Like answering Ed's question, a lot of the small, you talk about small box discount stores, I've seen some Dollar General, like a Dollar General Market, go all the way up to like 14 to 15,000 square feet. So I wanted to make it high enough that we wouldn't, restrict, a Dollar General Market or something that's a little bigger in a discount store to be able to come in.
All right.
And then I also used usable floor space. So it gives you a little bit of, leeway for the building inspector. Again, let's say for some reason Dollar General Market decided, we want to make a 20,000 square foot building. We really want to, we think this is a good market. It wouldn't hamper, because a lot of times we talk about usable floor space. A lot of building inspectors don't include like the different areas where it's just not usable for the public to be able to walk through.
And yet we know that if they want to come enough,
Yeah.
they'll change their plan. And
I think they work. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think the
they'll
idea
work their plan.
for this was just to kind of give something a little more narrow, so that way you wouldn't be hindering a developer from coming, but you wouldn't allow every and all other
That's right.
developments that you didn't necessarily want in C3 to be there.
Thank you for that clarification, John.
So if I understand this correctly, we've written this ordinance in order to put a Dollar General on the corner?
Well, the idea is that it would allow any small box discount stores in C3, and that it's, again, I try to make it broad enough where it wouldn't put too many restrictions, but enough that it would limit it to, dollar store types, because that's what we want to be.
The definition that I submitted that Jonathan has broadened a little bit was from a standard ordinance that I found, and this was definition meant to define a dollar store.
So my original question, so we're writing an ordinance, plugging it in C3 for a dollar store.
Yes, sir.
And how do we look at anybody else that comes in here that wants to put something in a spot that doesn't fit and tell them they can't do it?
Well, I think the dollar store still would serve the purpose of the definition of C3, which is to serve interstate traffic. I think a lot of people would stop on interstate
So
traffic.
do we add that to the language that the big box or the discount box has to meet the definition of C3?
I mean, I think it does meet the definition. I mean, a dollar store is going to serve interstate traffic, and I think that's the purpose versus what we were talking about. I think Alec brought up, a hairdresser may not serve interstate traffic. You're going to have, that's going to be more of your local economy rather than interstate traffic, but a dollar store would. So it wouldn't go against the spirit of what C3 is supposed to be serving.
So a small drugstore would meet the qualifications equally?
It may, if you guys want to allow a small drugstore in C3.
What about a auto parts store?
I think that's already permitted under the ordinance.
What was the question?
Auto parts store.
Auto parts.
Auto parts store would come closer to meeting the qualifications than as designed, because I mean, they're motoring traffic and commercial needs of somebody on the interstate.
Well, our ordinance already permits in C3 agricultural uses. I don't know how that's serving the public exactly. Swimming pools, telecommunications telecommunication facility. So this would not be the only thing that you could debate the application to interstate travel.
Well, I assume it's a swimming pool, they're talking about a motel, because a motel is approved.
Well, it doesn't say that.
Any more conversation?
I move that the commission recommend to the council the adoption of the proposed ordinance to amend, to allow small box discount stores in C3, and that we agree that we have made all the findings required by section 1207C of the zoning ordinance.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All those for?
Aye.
All those against? Aye. Okay. Next we have rezoning of 16 First Street from R3 to C1. Jonathan, talk to us about it.
Yeah, so this was submitted by, I think it was last Monday by the Episcopal Church that's on, let's see this address here, 16 First Street.
Who has a representative here?
Is there a representative of Episcopal?
It's actually the Diocese of Tennessee that owns the property, not, it has always owned the property since it was a church.
Yeah. And they are wanting to, per their application, rezone. It's currently R3 and they're wanting to rezone to C1. My initial concerns with this is very much spot zoning. If you look at the entire area of this block, it's R3. If you look at the following area of the block, it's a residential block, it's R2, and then you have your C1. So you have, an entire residential block before you even enter. And again, I don't think the Central Business District was ever intended to go that far up. That seems to be where the end is, where the Central Business ended. I could see potentially a C2, and I think that's what I advised when I was on the phone with when they called me, was to do C2. Is there a reason why C1 was?
Okay, I do not know what R2, R3, what all those mean. So I don't know what, in your codes, what a church is zoned.
But a church is allowed in virtually every zoning district.
Okay. Well, for us to market, and I believe the property, if you're standing at the front door, the property to the left is a medical building. What is a medical building? What code does it have?
According to this, it's
R2.
R2.
Yeah. And I think I talked with the person that it may have been that the medical building existed prior to that zoning, or that may have been a previous zoning and then rezoned. I don't know the history behind it, but we can't go and do it off what past history is. Like what we have right now is that is R3. I did say that I think you could put the potential C2 because it is off of US Highway 41. It's across from
So you think he was
C2.
grandfathered in?
I don't know if the medical facility, but the medical facility has no bearing on it. Just because somebody across the street has something doesn't mean that you then can have it.
And the other property across the street that is now C2 was recently changed from ID.
Yes, it used to be,
That was
institutional.
DeBoe's property.
Yes, DeBoe's property. And, so there's potential, I think, for C2. I just don't see C1, which is what was put on the application.
Excuse me, was it DeBoe's property? No, this was, DeBoe's is a separate corporation having nothing to do with the Episcopal Diocese.
What he's saying is this was the
I'm saying, he's saying that the C2 property across the street.
Hospital area.
They added a parking lot a couple months back, expanded the parking lot.
So is it Diocese's intent to sell the property and that's why they think it needs to be C?
Yes, sir. And if it needs to be C2,
I'm not sure C2 or C3 would make any difference.
again,
It's not in the central business district.
It seems to me that it's
Yeah.
spot zoning.
So is it Diocese's intent to sell the property and that's why they think it needs to be C?
It seems to me that it's spot zoning.
Yeah.
It seems to me that it's spot zoning.
So I leave it to the wisdom of the commissioners. We just want to be able to market the property.
Yeah, as was say, like, there's potential there. Again, I do know that there, based off of my aerials, it looks like there is a residential aspect. There are houses that are along that street. So allowing a commercial business right there does have an impact. I'm not sure if TDOT would allow a direct entrance off 41. You probably still would have to go off First Street, the existing First Street Drive. I can only go by what I was submitted, and that was C1, and I recommend against C1 as it is here. I think if it's C2, that's a potential. That may be something that if they're amenable to that, I can draft that up for next month's meeting.
How do you avoid spot zoning with a C2?
That's the question. I mean, it would be, you would look at it across the street that it is within a, near a C2 adjacent. I wouldn't say adjacent because it's across a state highway, but that would be the only way that you could, and it's much more likely than, C1, because I don't think it fits this criteria C1.
It's bound on two sides by a healthcare facility, and that's in R3.
So it's the other healthcare service, Second Street?
That section next to it is part of the healthcare facility, the nursing home.
Okay.
You've got the group home first
Yeah.
that will go into it.
Yeah.
And then you.
And that might be a thing
There's
where.
commercial use.
Yeah, and that might be a
right
thing
now,
where
even though
all of
it's
these that
zoned
are fronting on
R3.
41 should actually be C2. More likely. That's another,
Right.
We're not asking to have access off of 41. And I'm willing to resubmit this or amend it in person here to C2. Again, I had no knowledge of what these different code designations represented.
well, the different zoning districts allow different uses, allow different setback requirements. So your central business, business district, the C1, it's a lot smaller lots because they have, I think the side setback is a zero setback, side setback. And I think the front is also pretty limited too, but
Do we have latitude to
We did.
go ahead and change it to C2 here and now, or do we need to? We have interested parties, and I'm not saying that the party that's most interested right now is the one we're going to sell it to, but it is a chiropractic clinic that's interested in buying it. Now, whether we consummate that sale or not, I don't know, but would hate to kind of take it off the market, if you will, for another 30 days if we can amend our application.
Jonathan, are we required to notify adjoining landowners?
So when it goes to the board mayor alderman, typically they send, whenever you have a rezoning, they send letters to all the adjoining neighbors so they can, they can make any case they have any concerns of it, though that's not the overwhelming reason why you should reject or approve every zoning. It's about what the use, whether it fits within what your zoning ordinance allows. I think, again, I'm already here that they're on either side. You have on First Street and Second Street, there's already commercial facilities there.
Yeah.
I may also, that's something that, may talk to some of those other owners to say, hey, maybe all of you guys should rezone to C2 since you're already commercial on the highway.
It's almost like this other property on the front on College Street almost needs to be, because that's what it is medical facility.
Yeah, so that's the thing is that what they may have happened is that either it came before zoning, or this used to be C2 or C, and then they just wanted to make it nice and easy, so just make a residential across the entire block, and then same way there. But that's before my time. I'm not sure exactly the history behind why.
It has been
Any of
a
this
church
property?
since at least 1981.
Yeah.
So
There are four
Yeah.
residential areas on that block, that total block. There's another group home on the other corner adjacent to the rest home. This building is, at this point and has over the years, from my understanding, been a counseling center for various things. So if it turns into a chiropractic facility, I think it would hold true to be widely accepted by the community. I don't think the community would have any setback.
But if we amend it to C1, it doesn't have to be or remain a chiropractic facility. At that point, it could be anything that's permitted in the central business district.
Let me say, I brought up the chiropractic clinic because I know they're interested in buying it. I'm not sitting here to say that that sale will be consummated. I
Right.
want to make sure that.
Right.
So Jonathan, I hear you say going to C2 may be more palatable.
Yeah, I think it would fit more into what, I don't think it would fit any of the criteria for C1, but I think it could potentially fit for C2. It is across from the C2 property. It is fronting on Highway 41, so, you know, you would be, you know, serving some of that highway traffic. I think we've already, I think, established that all those properties in this area fronting 41 are already commercial uses.
Right.
So it wouldn't change the nature potentially
Right.
of that of all those fronting properties.
With a verbal in the advent of time, can he verbally request?
Yeah, I think if he is fine with that, I can draft an amendment for next month's meeting to have it for C2 and have that ready so that way it can go to the board, Mayor Alderman, once you guys approve it for next
So we
week.
can't vote on it tonight?
I mean, if you want, then I can draft the amendment and send it directly to Debbie. That's potential. You just wouldn't see the amendment as it's written and seen.
I would think a statement of support would keep your comment happy until you close. A statement of support that we're going to
Sure,
change this instead
I'm
of
happy
doing
to
it
sign
tonight.
something right now. I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still, I mean, you would be saving, you know,
30 days.
30 days is what you would be saving, because it would have to go to 2 board, Mayor Alderman meetings after that.
Which may or may not impact the sales anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a,
So you
it's
don't
up to
think
the
the
commission.
commission, you don't think.
I mean, I think it's up to the planning commission, you know, you can, if you want to see the amendment in front of you of what is going to be sent to the board now.
Well, the original amendment that you gave us originally was marked R1 and it was changed to R3 with a pencil line through it.
Yeah. Well, that's the application.
Oh, I understand,
Yeah.
but here again, so I don't know why we can't in the advent of time.
Why can't the application be marked C2 of the petitioner?
Yeah.
Better phrase.
If you guys want, yeah, so what you guys can do is, you can say that you want, you know, that you are wanting to rezone Grundy County Tax Map 107B F, Group B, parcel 002.00, you're recommending that rezoning from R3 to C2, and having Jonathan draft the amendment and send it to Debbie for the board, Mayor Alderman.
Alex, can you make that motion?
Yes, I move that we recommend to the board of Mayor and Alderman the rezoning of the parcel just described by Jonathan from residential R3 to C2, and include the commission made all the findings required by section 1207C of the zoning ordinance.
And then just have me draft the amendment and send it to,
And that Jonathan be empowered to put that in the form of a ordinance amendment and submit it to the board of mayor and the board of aldermen on our behalf.
So we don't have to ask Alex to repeat that. Do I have a second?
Second.
I got Dan Sargent on a second. Any discussion? All those for? All opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you for your accommodation.
Good luck.
Put it on the agenda.
Jonathan, do we have anything else?
I do not have anything else, no.
Do we have anything from anybody in this crowd? This robust crowd. Michelle, we don't thank you enough. You do a great job. Thanks for being here. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
And Alex. All those in favor?
Said see you, man.
All those opposed? Thank you all.
Yes, sir.